Chris Wagner, welcome back to Met 360 Studio. We got another great interview with Chris Granger, who's the president of the Sacramento Kings.
Yes, sir.
Which is a great organization, great fan base, great part of California.
Yes.
And I would think the business of basketball has changed over the years, connecting with fans inside the arena, obviously, and then when they leave, staying connected with them.
Yep.
So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time during our interview to talk about how you do that, because it's there's a lot of secret sauce in there, I would imagine.
Sure. Well, obviously the biggest change for the Kings this year is the opening of our new $600 million Golden One Center.
Phenomenal.
A fantastic building, and it's, I think Wired magazine called it pretty much a giant Tesla. New York Times called it the most technologically advanced arena in sports.
Right.
It's the only arena in the world to be 100% powered by the sun. So it's just a fantastic venue. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Exactly. And it's important too because that's reflective of California and of Sacramento. Much of the world's green policy comes from Sacramento.
Right.
So to be able to do something that embraces sustainability is really important to our fans.
But what's the capacity of the arena?
About 17,600 for basketball.
That's fantastic. And you run all kinds of events there, I would imagine.
We do. So we do about 200 dates plus a year between Kings and concerts and family shows and civic events as well.
Right. And your point about connectivity is important because getting in that building with that kind of density and still giving everybody the ability to Instagram and chat and tweet and
That's exactly right.
Well,
I mean, just at a very basic level, it's a huge dissatisfier to go to any event anywhere and not be able to connect and send an email, let alone doing things that benefit us, as in people posting tweets or posting on Instagram. So we want that. But we go even further than that. So our platform is such that, we have among the, if not the most connected buildings in sports. So you could, in theory, download 500,000 Snapchats in a second within our building
During a
right
basketball
now.
game?
During a basketball game, at capacity.
That's phenomenal.
The concept is, again, we don't know where technology is going to be in 5 years and 10 years, but we know we want to future-proof. So we try to create enough bandwidth and enough pipeline to be able to change and morph with the time. So even today, you can see real-time instant replays from your seat on your device. You can order food and have it delivered. You can engage in some type of gaming or gambling where you're betting loyalty points on different outcomes during the game.
Not betting with dollars on the game.
Not dollars, but it's coming someday.
I think so too.
So again, we're just trying to create the platform that will allow us to change over time, all of which allow the fan a more engaged experience.
And that's got to be a huge before and after effect for a Sacramento Kings fan, right?
Oh,
the old building, the new building?
Yeah, Sleep Train Arena, Arco Arena is 28, almost 30 years old. So to be able to move from that.
And do you see more fan participation now with the new building?
Well, it's different. So we did sell out every game that we had this year, which is great. So again, aside from the connectivity, it's about the food in the building. We have the world's first 4K indoor video board. It's the largest video board in the NBA as well, with a 4K control room. So again, we're trying to do things, one, to create wow and to create spectacle, but two, again, just allow you to have less friction in the fan experience. So again, on your app, you can have food delivered, you can look at replays, you can order your Uber car. We just really want to make your life a little bit easier than it might otherwise be when you come to a sporting event.
And when you leave the building, I know there's a club app too that carries forward a lot of the content.
That's
Before, during, after the game, I would imagine.
That's right. So we have a dual function app. So it's not just a Kings app, but you can toggle between the Kings and a Golden One Center app.
Right.
And again, on that, you can see downtown traffic flows. You can reserve your parking at one of 15 different lots downtown.
Really?
Yeah. You can go on, and again, you can see what streets are busy right now.
And is your phone kind of your passport for all this?
That's exactly what we say. The app is your remote control to the arena, so to speak.
It's kind of your easy pass.
Exactly right.
That's pretty cool. And who's your regional sports network there? Is that Comcast?
It is.
Are you doing any in-market streaming at all of the games?
Yeah, so we've been working with Comcast now, NBC Sports California, for a few years on streaming, which is great because, again, as you well know, we want to be able to provide content to our fans wherever they are. So certainly we have a great broadcast with fans. Our ratings were in fact up this year in a world where most ratings are down, so we feel really good about that. But again, we have the streaming, and then we also stream bite-sized chunks and live streaming to people as well. So we're trying to make it easy for the fans to find us.
And have you experimented with kind of ticket packaging and bundling where tickets and merch and food and some of those combinations to drive and promote?
Again, as you well know, people come to games for different reasons. Some are coming because they're hardcore fans just to cheer the team. Some are coming with their kids. Some are coming to games to entertain clients or to entertain employees. So we really want to create experiences that target different subsets of our fan base right now. So whether you're bundling food with a ticket, or whether you're bundling an on-court photo or an on-court cutting the nets down after the game with your ticket, there's a whole host of things that we think appeal to different audiences.
Do you have any that come to mind from last season that were kind of, programs that you ran that just performed better than you would have thought, or, some social things that happened around some ideas that you kind of spawned in the arena that were kind of cool ideas?
Yeah, there's so many different things, but I think always the crowdsourcing of content is something that is always particularly interesting and inspiring. It's certainly engaging for our fans.
Because you get a lot of it.
You get a lot, but it's fun, and people love to see themselves on the big screen. In fact, we tested something at the end of the season whereby if you would submit a picture of yourself and tag your Twitter handle or something else on your app and send us the picture, because of the beacon system we have outside the arena, when you then approach the building, we recognize you're approaching the building and we put your picture up on the big LED screens.
Oh, that is so cool.
So the arena is literally checking into you rather than vice versa. So the arena interacts.
That's a very cool idea.
It's a lot of fun.
Do you sell that as a sponsorship too, to kind of monetize that?
No, but you could, certainly.
Yeah.
So right now we've just been testing different things.
Like Snapchat would be the same kind of opportunity, right?
Could be, exactly right. But again, to walk up to a building and to see your face greeting you as you walk up to the building,
the Minority Report.
That's
totally implemented.
A little less creepy, but yes, exactly.
That's a very cool idea. So what are some new things you have planned for next season?
Well, again, from a broadcast standpoint, we're going to continue to, again, try different platforms. So we streamed a game on Facebook Live this year to our fans in India, in conjunction with the NBA and NBA India, so that was a lot of fun.
That's interesting.
We've streamed games in virtual reality a few times already, both to a national audience, again, in conjunction with NBA TV, but we've also done it to local children's hospitals in Sacramento. So we bring the VR goggles to them, stream the game to them, so it's like they're at the game. Yeah. So again, there's so much you can do with this amazing technology.
We take all your Comcast feeds and stream the Kings games. I think we're in over 200 countries.
That's exactly right.
With League Pass.
Exactly right.
And we've started now with that new camera in your building, that Mobile One camera that sits right on the scorer's table.
Right.
So on mobile, you kind of get those tight shots.
Exactly right. 360-degree cameras. We're doing a lot with that as well to take you places you might not otherwise be able to go.
That's part of the arena or
King's locker room, behind the scenes in the kitchens to watch all this amazing farm-to-fork food being created.
And Chris, where do you find that in the Kings app too? These VR highlights?
Exactly right. Again, I think we have something to the tune of 35 different integrations into the Kings app alone.
Wow.
So again, the Kings app is just an open source platform, so we can continue to plug things in over time or take out things as they become less popular or less interesting to our fans.
So this must generate a significant amount of data that can be used to really figure out interesting ways to stay connected to the fan and further monetize, cross-sell, upsell.
It does at both a micro level and a micro and a macro level,
Ticketmaster,
right?
or using
Ticketmaster is our partner as well.
Okay.
And again, you can go the entire arena experience without pulling out your wallet. You can have your ticket on your phone. You can pay on your phone.
Perfect.
So it's just, again, low friction as much as we can throughout the building.
That's perfect. What about on the hospitality side with the new building? I'm sure more suites, more opportunities to bring business into the game.
That's exactly right. So in terms of the building itself, we were really going after four things. One, we wanted to make sure it's an iconic design. So if you've seen pictures of the building,
I have, yeah.
We call it the world's first indoor-outdoor arena because it's fronted by these huge 6-story glass doors. They're airplane hangar doors. We open them up and you're really blurred between are you sitting inside or sitting outside watching an event, and just the amazing climate of Sacramento. 2 is technology, we've talked about. 3 is sustainability, which we've talked about. And 4, is food. So
Right.
Sacramento sits in the middle of this amazing agricultural region. So we're sourcing 90% of all of our food and beverage from within
Really?
150 miles of the arena, really taking advantage of a network of literally 700 different farmers and ranchers and craft breweries
No,
and
I've
local
driven
wineries.
up there, and if you haven't been in that part of California, you have no idea the size of the agriculture base.
It's the
great-
most diverse and most bountiful agricultural region in the country,
Yeah.
so we're going to take advantage of that, and we do with our food, and there's nothing like it in sports.
That's fantastic. Well, it sounds very exciting. I look forward to going to a game next year.
It's great fun, and more than anything else, it's been great for Sacramento. So what this has done, it's a $600 million arena, $400 million in a mixed-use project around the arena, restaurants, bars, hotel, condos, retail. It's really infused
That's all
new
part
life.
of the
It's
complex.
a $1 billion, 19-acre project right now in the heart of downtown Sacramento.
$1 billion. Wow, fantastic.
It's been
Thank
great.
you for joining our show. That was fantastic.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep. Stay tuned for another segment here on Met 360.
Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat. Today we have a very special guest, Bill Thompson with Edit Share. How you doing?
Great, great. How do you do?
Doing great. So what does NAB Show mean to an organization like you?
Well, this is the place where all of our buyers come. You know, we focus on the video post-production business, and so read half the badges coming through here, and a lot of people are here to shop for the next generation of production equipment.
So I see your scalable solution. That's probably for much larger organizations, right?
That's how it started out. Sure. And what I like to say is, you know, it's one matter to build a system that's going to scale out as large as 5, 10, 15, or 20 petabytes. Really, the news from us this year at this show is that we've managed to scale it in so that a small team, a small company, or, you know, just someone starting out can start with something as small as a single node, which is quite affordable, which can be the basis of their entire workflow. And as they grow, our system grows with no forklift upgrades.
And from what I remember, your products, you have a software management system as well, right?
Yeah, you have a good memory, yeah. So we actually bundle that product, which is called Flow, and we also bundle an archive and backup product called Arc in the same product. So it really does become the heart of a workflow with a simple, low-cost purchase.
I mean, you're just sort of managing assets with it, right?
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, we've got a very world-class asset management platform that's widely accepted.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys are quite a popular platform to be working on in facilities. Talk about Xstream. What's that? That's the solution you were just mentioning?
It's Extreme EFS, and the EFS part of it means Edit Share File System. That's a proprietary file system that we've written to replace our legacy file system. It's scalable, it's easy to manage, and it's fault tolerant more so than ever before.
All right, again, Bill Thompson of Edit Share, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we certainly wish you great luck and great success at the 2017 NAB show.
Have a great show.
Hey, this is a cat named Mo, on-air personality from 102.5 The Bone, Tampa, Florida, and you are watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Hello and welcome to NAB Show Live. I'm your host, Ryan Salazar, and we have a very special guest today. We're talking about cyclorama walls, cyc walls. So, Todd Dean, how you doing, sir? Nice to chat with you. So, a lot of photographers, videographers, educational institutions, they want to shoot in front of a wall. So a black wall, a white wall, gray wall, whatever, for photography or video. And I hear it's been used in animation as well, too. So talk about what a cyclorama wall is.
Well, a cyclorama wall is basically you curve every 90-degree corner in a room, or as much as you want to shoot in front of, so that there's no beginning of the floor and start of the wall. It's like one big curved situation. So in a cyclorama or a cyc wall, it's kind of like infinity.
Okay, so how do you build something like that?
Well, they used to build it by hand, and they would cut these ribs out of plywood, and they would try to bend boards, and the radiuses were always really large because that was the easiest way to bend that board. Today, there's many companies like mine that create prefab situations that you buy and you put into that room.
When you build a cyc wall, do you really need a cyc? I guess that's the radius. Could you just shoot in front of a white wall, for
Well, sure,
example?
they could shoot against the wall, but basically what happens if you shoot below the knee, you'll see the corner of the room, or if you shoot a big wide shot, you would see the vertical corner of the room. And so you either want a one-wall cyc where you're just going to curve out the floor, or a two-wall cyc where you curve out the floor and the vertical corner, and then there's a cornerstone in the middle that connects all those units together.
Okay, so to build something like this, does it take a long time? Is it very difficult?
To build the old-fashioned way, yes, and they're hollow and they're very easy to damage. Whereas products like I sell are solid polystyrene products, and you just glue them in instantly, and then you spackle the seams, and you can have a cyc in a day or so.
Okay, so you're saying you don't have to make the physical, I guess I call it the arch, I guess, right?
It's the radius, and there are several sizes of radiuses. We actually sell those 2-foot radiuses the most often now. Back long ago, when you actually had to build it, you built these large radiuses. It took up a lot of floor space, so you don't have to do that now.
What kind of supplies does that take, I guess?
Well, basically, we sell you the piece that you're going to glue in. You're just going to go out and buy the glue and the spackle. A lot of times, people just get a drywall person to come do their spackling because it's really quick and easy. But that's really it.
All right, excellent. Again, Todd Dean with Affordable Cyc Wall Systems. Do you have a website we can share?
Yes, it's affordablecycwall.com. And basically just look me up, give me a call, and we can talk.
All right, again, Todd Dean, Affordable Cyc Wall Systems. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we? Good? How are the feet surviving at NAB? Well, I'm Janet West, and we're here at NAB Show Live at the 2017 Las Vegas Convention. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking about thinking spherically, working in a 360 environment. Production issues, post-production issues, the user issues. And I've got a really interesting panel to help me discuss this. So starting with my, directly to my right, and by the way, this guy is not my co-host, but I'd like to...
I wish.
You would? Hey, it's Chris Babotis, who is Creative Director for Metal. And next to him is MC Patel, who is CEO of Emotion Systems. Next to him is Miguel Angel Doncel, is that correct? Okay, and he is CEO and founder of SGO. And finally, but certainly not least, Fabio Mura, who is Senior VP Product and Marketing for Vnova. Welcome, gentlemen. Where are we with VR at the moment? What's changed since last year?
I guess the level of interest has increased dramatically, and there's a proliferation of technology that's being demonstrated here in terms of capture.
Yeah.
And what was supposed to be or exclusive domain of gaming or so on, people are looking at a wider experience.
Okay. Chris, where do you feel we are at the moment?
Everything's changed since last
Okay.
year. Everything.
Tell
Every
us
little
what's
thing.
changed.
Cameras have changed. The processes have changed. Things have gotten infinitely easier
Okay.
to create content. Bragging rights. We recently announced a collaboration with Facebook where they further validate the medium with a commitment to depth acquisition and 6 degrees of freedom for our VR. So we're just seeing more and more momentum. We're seeing more content making its way into the medium. We're starting to see signs of monetization happen, which is very, very important for this year. So everything has changed.
Okay. Fabio.
I agree. Everything is changed. Everything is changing fast. I think we're on the rapid ascent of the hype curve, if you want. I think certain people are moving faster than others. The creatives are great. And I think, I'm a technology, so, we're kind of looking at that and trying to figure out how to solve some of the challenges that the creatives are setting us in order to deliver those experiences then to the masses, really. So, it's interesting times, I think. We will see a lot of developments in the coming years as well.
Okay, Miguel?
Yeah, I think VR is an amazing new way, and 360 is an amazing new way to put people inside an experience. It is probably going to create a lot of completely new ways to tell a story, because we have completely new tools that allows us to put the person in the middle of the action in a way that has never been before. And we can even intimidate the people. You can really make them feel that they are really part of the story, which is an incredible tool for creative people. And they always go faster than the technology, because creative people, they have no limits. And that is really putting some challenges in the people that are creating the technology, like we are doing. But this has been a nice time, because it's quite interesting to see how it is possible to address those challenges, to be able to work with higher bandwidth, bigger images, immersive experiences, how to stitch things together, how to be able to do all the post-production process in a way that is similar to the way that people were used to do in the past, but adapted to the new ways of telling a story. So I think this year is going to be pretty amazing on that.
Okay. You and Fabio have mentioned challenges. What challenges are we talking about? I mean, are we talking in production, post-production, the equipment? Where are the challenges?
Everywhere. Please.
I'd ask a question. I mean, I guess everybody here had a good VR experience, perhaps, since we're all excited. Has anybody here had a bad VR experience?
I find it slips off my head.
Because I had both, right? And I've been, here kind of talking to the studios and seeing some of the amazing things that they do. And at the same time, I have seen some really poor, pixelated kind of video delivery with bad audio, not at the right frame rate. That really wasn't nice. And I think the challenge for us as technologies, and I represent video compression, and I'm glad you raised that, because we need that to have that immersiveness. We need better compression, larger images, better images, is to match, right, the user experience on a phone to what the creatives and the studios are doing, which is amazing, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I think starting from the shooting, the way to shoot is different, because you need to shoot 360 environments, and if you want to do the 360 experience really immersive, it's good to do it also in 3D, so you feed different images to each eye. So it brings all the technical issues that the 3D world had in order to properly match the geometry, match the color, to avoid creating dissonance into the people having the experience. So that is a quite challenging workflow in which you have to be extremely careful, because if the quality of the image is not good enough, the story doesn't matter. People will have a bad experience.
It's all stuff that hasn't been done before, right? I mean, we're talking to some of the creators and some of even the technology manufacturers, like 16K cameras, 6 degrees of freedom, volumetric representations, immersive audio. There's all things that haven't been done before, haven't been that standardized, haven't been put together before. So the challenges for us is exactly that.
So Miguel, I want to bring up something. You said 3D. 3D television didn't work. Why is it going to be different in VR?
Well, actually, VR is much more immersive than 3D itself. So it adapts on top of the 3D experience. And if doing proper 3D was pretty challenging, doing proper VR is even more challenging, because you add all the problems from the 3D to the problems specific from the VR, the stitching between the cameras, etc. And but when you do it properly and you achieve a good result, the experience is unbelievable, because you feel like you are there. And that is something that has a lot of value, in my opinion, from the storytelling point of view, because it gave the creative people an amazing tool to tell the story. For example, pointing out another aspect which is important in the quality is now, so far we were feeding one stream on image to the people that they were watching on a screen. Maybe an IMAX screen could be big, but it was just one portion of the vision of the guys. But now we are feeding everything around, so we need much more resolution. That by itself is a challenge, because so far we were talking about 4K contents. Well, 4K is far below the requirements for a 360 environment, because if I am looking that way, I want to see 4K that way, but I have the rest of the scope around me that I have to cover. So if you want to do it properly, you need to be dealing at least with 8K stereo, which means 2 streams, and you need to fit that at the very end to a telephone. So the technology of companies like Fabio's company is great, is very important on that, because it's not only about having the best idea, doing the best post-production, putting the best audio, but also delivering the highest quality to the final device. If you put all of those things together, that's the challenge. If we do all of those steps together, the final result is amazing. If you fail in any of them, nobody will like the final result. So it's a nice challenge.
Yeah. You've made me think of something, and that is, if we've got fabulous images, really high quality, all the way around, how do you manage audio with all that?
Well, it's a good question. One of the things that I like to think in this is that we're creating concepts and ideas and technologies much faster than we're able to solve the problem in an elegant manner.
Right.
And audio is always seen as a poor cousin, can actually have a phenomenal impact in the creative experience. But the challenge really is that whilst we have, again, Miguel was talking about a single screen, we have 6 speakers as 5.1. To create a really 360 experience, you'll need a lot more. I know I won't be allowed to have them in my house. But the other side to that also is I don't think a mechanism's come about whereby when you change your head, the audio changes as it would in a real environment. So, and you know, that's a big deal, because it will take away, and I think it will create, just as they had in 3D, the brain gets overloaded.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'd like to see it simplified so that you can create this experience with less technology, but the reality is we need an awful lot of technology. And what the 3D experience taught us is that we moved so quickly in trying to implement something that we forgot all the user experience problem, and therefore it didn't monetize fast enough for it to actually turn into a sustainable technology. So going back to audio, it's a big challenge, but the bigger challenge is saying how, you know, with the VR set, you get your smartphone, you put something on. So unless you put another some form of 3D headphones, getting it into the living room is going to be challenging.
Yeah. Fabio, we talked about the amount, I mean, Miguel mentioned, you know, with 8K, we really need good, that's a lot of data. What are you doing for compression?
It's a very good question, and you know, we as a company, Vinnova, have a video compression solution, a codec. It's called Perseus. It's actually very novel. It's like next generation compression, next generation performance, but kind of works on today's devices and ecosystem. So it's software, and allows us to really deal very well with kind of like the growing demand of you know, more immersive experiences, whether it's 2D 4K or VR in 8K stereoscopic 8K, 16K. We've done some experiments there, kind of trying to deal with that size of images, and which seems science fiction, but actually when you print it, a 16K frame is not even that big, you know, at 300 DPIs, which we're all used to, you know, on kind of standard pictures. So it is something that cannot otherwise be done today, and I think what we're working with other partners in the ecosystem really to ensure that we can enable these kind of workflows to happen as quickly as possible. I think for VR to be successful, we cannot wait for you know, all the pieces to fall into place in 2020, 2021. You know, we have to start working on them today And we have a solution with regards to video it is available today, and we're demonstrating it here.
So what are the opportunities for broadcasters with live VR?
Sports.
Sports?
Huge in sports.
Sports, events. I think we're doing some trials actually around companion experiences.
Okay.
Right, you're watching the game, but then you want to watch, the pre-match. You want to get into the kind of changing rooms. You want to get backstage before you watch the concert. You want to watch some part of the concert. You want to get in with the drummer while you're watching. And all of this kind of enriches, I think, the experience. It's not a substitute. Then we find that, I'll revert to the creators, but what we find from operators and broadcasters is that they're looking at enhancing the experience rather than replacing it.
I would like to jump in that one because I would like to say something I honestly think is very important. I honestly think VR has a lot of value for many kind of different aspects of the communication, including live events. But people in general have to be aware that it's extremely important to take care of the quality of the experience. Because, for example, going back to what happened with all the 3D content creations for a period of time, people was trying to deliver 3D content at any cost without paying attention at all to the final quality of the production. Well, when you are really working with this kind of experience, you have to be extremely careful with the final quality.
Yeah.
Because if the quality is not perfect, the experience will not be good. So live is an additional level of complexity in the workflow, because you do not only have to make great adjustments, but you have to make them real time. So people have to be aware that people aiming to do live, they honestly have to put a lot of efforts to make sure the quality is what people expect to see. If not, they will actually be destroying a market which is a market with a huge potential. So I honestly would invite the people to take care of the quality, to make sure whatever they do, either if it is live or not, has the best quality possible. So at the very end, the important people, which is the audience, the people enjoying the experience, they really enjoy it and they repeat. That will be the best we can do all together for the benefit of this industry.
Chris, where do you see the challenges in live?
I don't see that many challenges left, quite frankly.
Okay.
If we go back to one of your earlier questions, what's changed? There are cameras right now that are doing 4K stereo stitched that you can broadcast live. A year ago, no.
Okay.
So that's one. Challenges moving forward is resolution data sets that are going to grow exponentially. The target is 16K per eye. 16K per eye. That's incredible, right? How are we going to move these data sets around? How are we going to manage these data sets, even forget live, but even in post-production, right? These are interesting notions. As storytelling goes, this is important. Passive experiences, cinematic experiences will eventually merge with interactive experiences. So the first step going that way is branch narrative. Branch narrative, for those who don't understand it, is story goes this way, I get to a path, I have a choice of A or B. Right off the bat, you don't have one massive asset, you have three assets to deal with. And it just branches and branches and branches. How are we going to move all these data sets around? So for compression companies, you're crucial, right? What changed, again, back to what changed last year, when we spoke last year, Fraunhofer, and one of the, I guess, encouraging signs that I've seen. Fraunhofer approached me at NAB last year. We were neighboring booths, and they said, Chris, what would you like to see happen? And I said, foveated rendering would be amazing. Foveated rendering basically means render something clean only where you're looking at it. Wherever it's not, it can drop down, it can sample down, and adaptively come up in resolution. So I had that discussion. And honestly, I thought it was just going to end there, and I wouldn't see anything for another 12 to 18 months at best.
Yep.
NAB's in April, IBC's in September, am I not mistaken?
Yep.
They were showing foveated rendering. So the industry's motivated. The industry's, I've never seen the industry move this quickly. I've never seen technology move this quickly, and I've never seen this kind of adoption in a medium in my career.
I want to bring up something about the user experience. I've got this image in my head at the moment. You know, it's the Super Bowl or we've got a football game, and normally you've got a group of guys who've come to your house and you've got packs of beer. Is it going to work if they've all got headsets on?
But that's the challenge, isn't it? To migrate this into the living room where the experience is shared across an audience. I think this is a singular experience right now, isn't it? Although it's mind-blowing because you are bound by what
that's
you
what
see.
Mark Zuckerberg showed in F8, right? That's the beginnings of where Facebook would like to go with these avatars.
Yeah.
So at first they're very cartoon-like, but it is a beginning, and it does show commitment to that, right? So that it becomes a bit more of a social experience, right? So it would be interesting for you and I to spend an evening together virtually, so to speak, and watch the same experience and discuss things. Yeah.
Okay.
And there are some specific kind of content which are very appealing.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I mean, the kind of immersivity you get into the VR, the 360 environments, for example, in the terror aspects. I mean, imagine that you are at home watching Poltergeist, and you have actually the movie all around you. You don't know where to move or where to look because action could happen anywhere. So that can really create feelings in the people that are completely new. I mean, you can really scare one person in a VR environment way beyond anything ever seen before. I mean, maybe if you are with your friends at home watching the football, you don't want to have the headset on you. Yeah. But there are many other possibilities, like tourism, for example. If I want to show you how amazing Yosemite is, probably the best way to do it is to show you a VR experience of that, and you will love it, and you will like to go to see it by yourself. So, and all the tourism industries, museums, training.
The medical industry, I've heard.
Yeah, medical industry.
Yeah.
So there are many industries in which this kind of content has a huge amount of value.
So do you see a lot more applications outside of the broadcast and cinema and sports field?
Actually, it's good because it's okay because I'm just gonna connect in a few dots, and I think we need to think laterally a little bit because the experience is going to be different than just the broadcast, the traditional broadcast or the traditional cinematic experience. You can do potentially a lot more than you've done before. It's interesting that you said how fast the technology evolved and how fast people can find solutions to creative ideas. Right? We have selective decoding as well, for example, as part of our solution. And one of the interesting things of our codec is it's layered. For example, you can mix broadcast and unicast kind of aspects. So you can have broadcast in the match while yet having some individual experience associated with it. So you could be in different areas, you can have different avatars, you can mix the broadcast experience with an AR kind of, let's say, overlaid over video. So I think the limits are beyond what we're traditionally used to. It's just having to commence and start a dialogue between the technologies that are evolving and the ideas that creatives have.
We've got a lot of broadcasters. They don't all have state-of-the-art equipment. This industry has shoved an awful lot of changing formats and systems and standards. We can just go on and on. What's the price point for broadcasters to get into this? Is it extremely expensive, so it'll only be the big broadcasters? How does that work, taking into consideration the equipment, perhaps rental, the production, the post-production costs?
Well, that's a quite difficult question to answer because it may vary.
Well, I don't ask easy ones.
But in my point of view, the highest cost at the moment is the cost of learning, because this is so new and we need to learn how to deal with it and achieve proper content, and that costs a lot of money and time and effort.
Yeah.
Because as a concept, actually we are at the very end delivering a file, an image, a stream, which is bigger or whatever, but as a concept is not really that complicated. I am being a little bit simplistic because shooting is different, there are additional problems, so that adds a little bit of cost. But in my opinion, that part is pretty much irrelevant compared with the overall cost of producing. The biggest cost is really, we are not used to do these kind of things. We need to learn how to do it. That costs time. And that once we know how to do it, probably budgets will be similar, because it's not really that rocket science. It's just new technology which is evolving, and it's not that difficult.
That's an interesting point, because in a lot of the shows that we've done at NAB, education has come up because with things changing. So how do we educate? Are the colleges, are the media colleges, production colleges teaching how to shoot in VR and post-produce?
We're making sure of that.
Okay, so you're helping.
Yes, we're helping a lot. To your point, one of our claims to fame is that we actually make it easy. Very, very easy. So because we work within an ecosystem that is already used to telling stories, our products basically let you keep working the way you've always worked in an NLE or an effects package, and we just take care of the 360 madness in the background, right? So the learning curve is very, very small, actually. I think it's a comfort level that people need, and some kind of a semblance of a support mechanism that's more important. I agree there is a cost. On the educational side, we make great efforts. I speak at USC anywhere, anytime a Disney calls me up to go and talk to them, I make sure that USC gets it for free. How's that? Or UCLA gets it for free. So we are making efforts that way. I think there's bigger infrastructure costs. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is great, but we've run out of time again. I've got half a page of questions here to go. Thank you so much, Fabio Miura and Miguel and MC Patel, and of course Chris Babotis from Metal. Thank you so much for joining me. Stand by, 15 minutes from now we're going to be talking about OTT and the cloud. I'm Janet West. Stay safe in Vegas.
Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat. Today we have a very special guest, Bill Thompson with Edit Share. How you doing?
Great. How do you do?
Doing great. So what does NAB Show mean to an organization like you?
Well, this is the place where all of our buyers come. You know, we focus on the video post-production business, and so read half the badges coming through here, and a lot of people are here to shop for the next generation of production equipment.
So I see your scalable solution. That's probably for much larger organizations, right?
That's how it started out. Sure. And what I like to say is, you know, it's one matter to build a system that's going to scale out as large as 5, 10, 15, or 20 petabytes. Really, the news from us this year at this show is that we've managed to scale it in so that a small team, a small company, or, you know, just someone starting out can start with something as small as a single node, which is quite affordable, which can be the basis of their entire workflow. And as they grow, our system grows with no forklift upgrades.
And from what I remember, your products, you have a software management system as well, right?
Yeah, you have a good memory, yeah. So we actually bundle that product, which is called Flow, and we also bundle an archive and backup product called Arc in the same product. So it really does become the heart of a workflow with a simple, low-cost purchase.
I mean, you're just sort of managing assets with it, right?
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, we've got a very world-class asset management platform that's widely accepted.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys are quite a popular platform to be working on in facilities. Talk about Xstream. What's that? That's the solution you were just mentioning?
It's Extreme EFS, and the EFS part of it means Edit Share File System. That's a proprietary file system that we've written to replace our legacy file system. It's scalable, it's easy to manage, and it's fault tolerant more so than ever before.
All right, again, Bill Thompson of Edit Share, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we certainly wish you great luck and great success at the 2017 NAB show.
Have a great show.
Hey, this is a cat named Mo, on-air personality from 102.5 The Bone, Tampa, Florida, and you are watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Hello and welcome to NAB Show Live. I'm your host, Ryan Salazar, and we have a very special guest today. We're talking about cyclorama walls, cyc walls. So, Todd Dean, how you doing, sir? Nice to chat with you. So, a lot of photographers, videographers, educational institutions, they want to shoot in front of a wall. So a black wall, a white wall, gray wall, whatever, for photography or video. And I hear it's been used in animation as well, too. So talk about what a cyclorama wall is.
Well, a cyclorama wall is basically you curve every 90-degree corner in a room, or as much as you want to shoot in front of, so that there's no beginning of the floor and start of the wall. It's like one big curved situation. So in a cyclorama or a cyc wall, it's kind of like infinity.
Okay, so how do you build something like that?
Well, they used to build it by hand, and they would cut these ribs out of plywood, and they would try to bend boards, and the radiuses were always really large because that was the easiest way to bend that board. Today, there's many companies like mine that create prefab situations that you buy and you put into that room.
When you build a cyc wall, do you really need a cyc? I guess that's the radius. Could you just shoot in front of a white wall, for example?
Sure, they could shoot against the wall, but basically what happens if you shoot below the knee, you'll see the corner of the room, or if you shoot a big wide shot, you would see the vertical corner of the room. And so you either want a one-wall cyc where you're just going to curve out the floor, or a two-wall cyc where you curve out the floor and the vertical corner, and then there's a cornerstone in the middle that connects all those units together.
Okay, so to build something like this, does it take a long time? Is it very difficult?
To build the old-fashioned way, yes, and they're hollow and they're very easy to damage, whereas products like I sell are solid polystyrene products, and you just glue them in instantly, and then you spackle the seams, and you can have a cyc in a day or so.
Okay, so you're saying you don't have to make the physical, I guess I call it the arch, I guess, right?
It's the radius, and there are several sizes of radiuses. We actually sell those 2-foot radiuses the most often now. Back long ago, when you actually had to build it, you built these large radiuses. It took up a lot of floor space, so you don't have to do that now.
What kind of supplies does that take, I guess?
Well, basically, we sell you the piece that you're going to glue in. You're just going to go out and buy the glue and the spackle. A lot of times people just get a drywall person to come do their spackling because it's really quick and easy. But that's really it.
All right, excellent. Again, Todd Dean with Affordable Cyc Wall Systems. Do you have a website we can share?
Yes, it's affordablecycwall.com. And basically just look me up, give me a call, and we can talk.
All right, again, Todd Dean, Affordable Cyc Wall Systems. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Vegas. This is NAB.
Hello and welcome. This is Cameron John here coming at you from the NAB Live Show. I got some great guests here with me. Thank you guys all for coming. We have some great topics to cover, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. So I have 4 guests. I want to introduce each one. I want to let each one of them introduce themselves. So maybe 30 seconds, 2 sentences. Ladies first. Hillary, who are you, and where are you from, and what do you do?
And I am owner and president at Evia Events. We are a virtual event production company. We're based out of Seattle, and we work closely with customers like Microsoft, Amazon, Tableau to deliver a virtual experience for their corporate events.
Great, thank you. Aaron, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Aaron Walton. I am the co-founder of Walton Isaacson, which is a full-service advertising agency. We have offices in LA, Chicago, New York, Miami, and Dallas. And a range of our clients include Lexus, McDonald's, Miller Coors, Mayomi brands, and Constellation brands. So we're excited to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. So we got the events perspective, we have the agency perspective, and we have Greg.
I'm Greg Ellis. I'm COO of Decast. We're an online video platform. We do business-to-business, SaaS-based video platform services with fully integrated additional features, including security and other things for people streaming.
Great, thank you. So the platform perspective. And we have Nick.
Yes.
Introduce yourself, Nick.
Hey, so I'm Nick Cicero. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Del Mondo, and we are a social video analytics company and creative studio. We created the first analytics ever for Snapchat in 2014, and we right now are the only source of second-by-second real-time analytics for Facebook video and Facebook Live.
Excellent. So speaking of live, so I should back up. What are we doing here? So the point of this chat and the reason we brought all these amazing people here together today is to talk about what's the future of live streaming, right? A lot of people talk about it. Some people are doing it, not everybody just yet. But how do you succeed in this live streaming economy? From where we sit, what we're seeing is it's now an attention economy, right? Everybody has infinite ways to distract themselves. There's all kinds of things that are competing for your attention, but also the attention of your clients. So from the perspective of live streaming, how do we see live streaming developing? How do you develop audiences? How do you distribute your live stream so that you're getting the right audience to listen in and tune in and engage with your content? And then how do you succeed in the attention economy? What's going to be coming down the road? So those are some of the topics we're going to discuss today. From the events perspective, Hillary, what are you guys seeing work in live streaming now? Like, what you have a list of clients, they've been working with you for a long time. What kind of stuff are you guys seeing work in the live streaming space?
Yeah, so we pretty much all of our clients at one point or another are incorporating live streaming into their virtual experience. For a long time, it was all about the on-demand content, and at least if that content was preserved and recorded and made available after the event, then that was success to them. But as live streaming's become more accessible for the end users and something that they can rely on more, they're definitely starting to incorporate that into the experience. And typically what we see is sort of the high-end sessions that they hone in on, so such as the keynote sessions, general sessions, something with content that they know is going to drive a lot of attention to the event itself, because they're using it as a way and a mechanism to bring the audience in and get them engaged. And so that's where we've seen it introduced. We do have some customers that will do live streaming across practically the entire event, and that's more of kind of a training experience where they just want those virtual end users to be able to access all the content and engage.
Interesting. So you've really seen the industry move away from just production into I want to distribute this out to the world. I want to get lots and lots of people to view it, not just the people that are actually in the room.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron, what are you seeing working well in the live streaming space from the sort of agency perspective?
Yeah, well, coming from the branded entertainment perspective, I would say it's always about capturing and being part of those moments, right?
Yeah.
Those moments that are exciting, that you want your brand to be surrounded by, that you want the customers to kind of engage with. But there are some physical constraints to that to some degree, because you're limited to the space that you're physically in. And what live streaming actually does is it provides an opportunity to make those moments scalable, and to make sure that people outside of that physical space can enjoy and participate and can kind of feel a part of what the brand message is or what the brand experience is. So we're finding more and more opportunities to incorporate that into the existing creative that we're doing, whether it's a live event or an event that's getting ready to promote a television series of content that we're doing.
Interesting. Okay, those special moments. Does anything get lost in translation with live streaming when you're not physically in the room, but you're trying to recreate that magic?
Yeah, listen, certainly there is, there's value to being in the room and to being a part of the experience physically. But it's the next evolution of how we kind of move those experiences on. If you look at, for example, GoPro, they helped, from a technology standpoint, give a point of view of an experience from a one-on-one point of view, from a user point of view, that this is how I'm experiencing this moment. But if you look at kind of the next evolution of it, I think it's going to be, how do you take VR and give people an opportunity to kind of step into this world that you've created, that may physically not be there, but they are feeling that energy and that excitement there. So I do think it's not the exact same, but it's certainly
for sure
adding something to it.
Greg, what are you seeing work really well for your clients in live streaming? You guys only do live.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of the techie approach here.
Right.
So what works best in live streaming has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with everything Hillary and you've just said. It's creating the experience, it's creating the outreach to customers to gain their attention and hold on to them. Virtual reality, I'll bring this up a little different than what we talked about, but virtual reality, for example, I don't think it's going to be immersive for people as much as it is keep them from being distracted from the guy next to them, their coworker who hollers across an office, and these open office concepts we have these days, and lets people in their homes not get distracted by the little things that are always sitting on your desktop. So it isn't about the technology, it is all about getting attention of people and promoting and reaching your audience and basically turning broadcasters into marketers so that they can reach that audience.
That's an interesting perspective because, from a technology perspective or a platform perspective, sometimes broadcasters are the gear guys, the gear ladies, right? So how do you do that? How do you educate them to become marketers so that they can actually get people to watch their live stream and make it pay off?
That's very difficult. That's very difficult. It's from a technology viewpoint, it's very difficult to try to teach our customers, the broadcasters, who frequently are chief engineer or they're the IT digital media person, to teach them how to produce something. They know how to produce something like this panel that can present well out to the public. But they don't know how necessarily to live stream, to grab someone's attention, to direct them to the site where the stream is, and to pull them in as an audience. It is nothing different than television has always been, and broadcasting has always been. It takes PR, it takes promotion, it takes marketing. Turning them into it is the hardest thing. There is no easy way, except, sorry to say, but they fail once, and then they usually come and say, okay, what do we need to do?
Interesting.
But broadcasters are about acquisition of audiences. And what live does is it really does help you to acquire a larger audience, and sometimes an audience that you didn't expect was going to participate. So that there are some moments where you're surprised, and I think broadcasters are getting more sophisticated, obviously, about how they can capture, to your point, the imagination and the excitement that these audiences want, and live can do that in ways that other mediums.
I mean, consider the fact that with traditional broadcasting, I mean, the audience development angle has never been more open as it is with digital video, right? So even as a traditional broadcaster, it was I think that a lot of people for many years have been very talented at producing live video that they were streaming to television. And now that there's active audience development that can actually bring people on in the course of that 30-minute or 1-hour segment that you're on, I think it's huge. To tap into your point earlier about teaching broadcasters to be marketers, one of our largest clients, two of our largest clients are actually Red Bull and the UFC. The Red Bull is prolific at creating video on their own site and using social video channels like Facebook Live or Periscope or Twitter to bring people over into a subscription model. But even the UFC, you take, and we did this one for UFC 205 in New York, where they took their premium pay-per-view video, ran it through the live API on Facebook, and Del Mondo, we're actually measuring average minute audience for digital live streaming video. And the measurement that we had was a 65,000 AMA, which was only 20,000 less than what Watch ESPN had kind of considered as their highest ever men's basketball stream kind of a week later. So when you think about, okay, great, there's a whole team at UFC that knows how to make an amazing broadcast, which they did, then there needs to be a whole audience development team that can figure out how to get people onto that stream. And now it can be done more actively than ever before, whereas I couldn't be sitting in that control room on Saturday Night Live before, like shooting out Facebook messages, putting out extra tweets to bring people back into the broadcast. Like that dynamic never existed before up until about like 5 years ago.
Unpack that for me for a sec. You talked about average minute audience. Just so everybody else knows what that is, please unpack that. And then what did you just say? That you were able to get 3 times more than ESPN's big broadcast?
Let me back that up for a second. So Del Mondo essentially gets real-time data from all of the social platforms. So we get real-time authenticated data from Facebook, from Twitter, from Instagram, from YouTube, and we pull all of that back inside of there. Now we've created the average minute audience, which is, if some of you are familiar with some of the Nielsen type metrics, it's a metric that might be used to rate a television show. Basically says how many average viewers are on the stream for any 60-second interval. Now in the UFC example, right, we think about television and there's obviously large numbers of people. Nielsen has largely used sample size data for that. When you actually get all of the authenticated viewers, you can get a way better window into the viewing audience. And so for the ESPN kind of comparison, ESPN 1 week after UFC 205 made a ESPN Media Comms announcement that their largest ever audience for men's college basketball through the Watch ESPN platform was, I think, an 80,000 AMA. We measured 1 week earlier for just over an hour-long Facebook Live broadcast that was professionally piped in. We had a 65,000 AMA. So now, obviously, there's much larger scale when you think about the user base of a Facebook compared to a Watch ESPN.
Sure.
But people don't go to Facebook per se to sit down and have a viewing experience. We think about it mobile consumption or pick it up and put it down. These people were actively sitting on the stream. They were watching it for an entire broadcast, just as they would be turning on Fox Sports or any one of these networks as well. So I think that when we're looking at the different types of data for the media partners on Facebook especially, we're looking at other numbers in terms of not just the views, we are looking at watch time. And so, we see that live broadcasts even today, there's a 4x longer watch time for a live broadcast than any regular video on these platforms. So live also captivates the attention in terms of just physical time that we spend on some of these platforms too.
Interesting. I want to open up to the rest of the panel and ask them about the measurement aspect. What are you guys seeing in terms of measurement, right? From a branded entertainment perspective, someone might come to you and say, hey, I want to do this, but what kind of measurement are they putting on it, Aaron?
So, we've used live in a number of different ways. We've produced television series. We produced a series called Versus and Flow, where when we added the live component, and by the way, it's not just about plugging it in and putting on the signal and then hoping people discover it. It really is, to your point, you have to go out and promote it, and you have to make sure that people understand they're going to get a different type of experience than just being there, right? So what we've seen, quite frankly, is that in season 4 and season 5, when we were producing the show, we saw an extra 1 million viewers because of the live component that we did. So it clearly has a tremendous impact on bringing in more viewers. When we did a special, a 90-minute special on the same series, we had more viewers watching it live than actually watching it in the broadcast.
Really?
So it has some very real opportunities for us to expand, and to your point, it really is about scalability, and it's about bringing in new consumers, and quite frankly, consumers who are passionate about the brand but just physically can't get there. So we've seen some tremendous results, and we'll continue to do it. It has to be strategic. It's not that everything should be live necessarily, so you really do have to think about the events that you're doing.
Matt Menefee on guitar.
Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Good afternoon again and welcome back. I see some of you are sitting down. I guess the feet are getting pretty tired, are they? I'm Janet West and welcome to NAB Show Live, where this afternoon we're going to be talking about end-to-end OTT cloud solutions and workflow. I've got 4 very interesting guests. Next to me, and no, he's not my co-host, but...
Thank you, Janet.
Sigh of relief there, I guess. Yes. Alan Hoff, who's Vice President Market Solutions at Avid. And next to him is Ted Corte, who is COO of Clegent. Have I pronounced that right?
Clegent.
Clegent, right, okay. Next to him is Johan Bolen, who is VP Products of Edgeware. And finally, we have Chris Wagner, who's EVP and co-founder of New Lion. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So starting with you, Alan, what challenges are driving media organizations to consider the cloud? Is it a fashion or is it necessary?
Well, it's no surprise to people, especially in this industry. There's been an explosion of content. That's been great, and overall viewership has been increasing. That's resulted in unprecedented challenges in terms of competition for viewership, to get more viewers to engage with your content and your brand. It's also a real challenge to create that engaging content at a volume that is optimized for all the various outlets that content needs to be consumed. So for these folks, the cloud promises all sorts of new operational efficiencies. It's going to allow them to, once they've created their content, put it in a way that can be optimized for delivery to all of those different outlets in the places that the customers want to consume it, which helps them be far more efficient, both in terms of how they're creating it, but also how they're spending their capital. So that's the other big benefit of the cloud, I think, for the media organizations, is they don't have to have redundant hardware in all these different locations. They can centralize their operations and expand up and down on a per project basis their additional capacity as needed. So those are just some of the, I think, big themes that I'll put on the table here for us to talk further about.
Okay, what are the challenges? are driving the media organizations?
Well, I actually think that you had three things that really are driving it. You have the digital content, you have high-speed internet, and you have connected devices, and that's really created this irreversible relationship between viewers and what we think is their content now. It's no longer ours, their content. So we have to deal with OTT. OTT is probably the best overall end-to-end technology and business model we can come up with. We just need to make it much more efficient, much more data-driven, and much faster.
Johan?
And I think I would maybe add into that is, this is an increasingly competitive landscape, so you need to be very innovative today. You need to have a platform where you can continue to innovate on a daily basis, not only in like quarterly basis and something like that. Because today you need to win the customer every day, and you can't rely on like subscriptions with binding times and so on.
Chris?
The GoPro guys come on every day at this time. New Line is an OTT platform, so we started the company 12 years ago with 5 people, and we have 600 people now, and all we do is OTT. So our customers are companies with content that they want to put in the cloud and take over the top, so NFL, NBA, Univision, Lionsgate. So we spend every moment of the day, solving OTT challenges for the delivery of content.
Yeah. Ted, you brought up something, high-speed internet. Not everywhere has high-speed internet. What's happening with that? Because certainly in the UK, not everywhere has high-speed internet. So are they going to be deprived from seeing certain content?
Yes, actually that is kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
And what we do is really delivery monitoring, delivery analytics, and it's much broader. So we'll look across internet service providers, mobile phone providers, origination servers, the whole gauntlet, and find out where you have these kind of choke points, weaknesses, and those kind of things so you can tailor.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of where it gets into a big data. So you take that information, correlate it with the information that CDN providers are collecting, and even feedback from end users, complaints for instance.
Yeah. Can you tell me what some of the real benefits are to an organization to consider to bring their media to the cloud?
Well, as we discussed before, we have to somehow figure out how to deal with this one-to-one relationship. And the cloud offers, some of the economies that we talked about, but also it's speed. It comes down to raw speed. It gives you a place to have, data that can expand and contract, bandwidth that can expand and contract, and it opens up the door for people to share on lots and lots of data. And that's how you get into the user engagement, because back in the old days, content was king. Now, if you look at what search engines and social media are doing, they're actually using data and controlling the engagement. To them, it's all about the engagement, and we have to marry engagement with content.
Okay.
I think another thing, and this is certainly from ABBA's perspective, in terms of one of the major benefits of getting into the cloud for our collaborative workflows, is that I can now work with the best talent regardless of where they're located. And this is something Avid's been involved with now for a while. A year ago, just prior to NAB, we began shipping Avid Cloud Collaboration for Pro Tools. And I don't bring this up as a product pitch, but as a way to talk about how you can use the cloud to create professional content. So with this environment, within a Pro Tools session located, say, in Burbank, I could be in a studio doing I need a certain talent, voice talent that is located in Paris, or a guitarist that's located in Belarus, and I need to get that. They can, on their end, lay down their track in the same session that I'm working on here in Burbank, and as they're ready, they upload it, and it appears right directly in context to me, of course, via the cloud, in my Pro Tools session, as if they're sitting across the room from me.
Yeah.
And this is the very sort of collaboration that media organizations and individual artists, everybody at all levels of the industry, want to be able to take advantage of. And so another example would be in video land. I am a freelance editor, and I do a lot of work for AMC Networks, but I happen to be on vacation in Nantucket. I can now use a media composer where it's either located right here on my laptop that I'm working on, and reach into the cloud and get access to the content that I need to cut my promo, or I could not have a media composer at all and just have a virtual instance of it
But
available
you said he
to
was
me
on
to do this.
vacation.
That's right. Well, yeah. It's the kind of vacation we all take these days, right?
Yes, Chris.
You know, the NBA playoffs are going on right now, so one of the advantages of the cloud is they make available every NBA game to over 200 countries.
Yep.
And the internet connects everybody. So they take the game right out of the arena. They put it in the right format. They put it in all these different bit rates. Your earlier question about high-speed bandwidth. So all those streams come out and accommodate either a little bit of bandwidth or a lot of bandwidth, all the way up to HD, 60 frames. But to get to over 200 countries that one game that night without the cloud and being able to do that, digitally, there's no way they could have done it any other way with a legacy platform. You just can't move that fast.
Yeah. Johan, what do you see as some of the major benefits?
What we are doing is combining things you can do in it, because the cloud, again, for parts of these applications, the cloud is perfect. And we talked about the reach, we talked about the flexibility and agility of the cloud. In many applications in TV, it's of a character where you need really that. And then there are other parts of the delivery where the cloud actually might not be the best answer. In all cases, we do CDN networks, and an aspect of the cloud is that the cloud is a centralized environment, data centers, right? And then you want to move the content from the data center out to the viewers, out in the networks. And parts of that you can build in the cloud, but then quite often you need to complement that also with the CDN that is distributed not only in data centers, but actually into the networks, and so on. So we see actually the best is to combining the two and utilizing all the advantages of cloud, but at the same time having an infrastructure that supports these huge data volumes that you're delivering.
So the customers that you guys are dealing with, what sort of problems do they come to you with, and what are their concerns? For example, security.
I'll start with the security. So it's an excellent question. This NAB, Avid announced our partnership with Microsoft and how we were bringing our Media Central platform to the cloud, specifically the Microsoft Azure cloud. And some of the folks were a little bit, well, so what does that mean for the security of my content? To which we just have to respond, in particular in the case of Microsoft Azure, that is the Azure is the platform of choice for the Department of Defense. It's what is being used across the globe for financial institutions, et cetera. And they took great care in preparing, meeting the needs of the media and entertainment industry to get MPAA certified approval of the security of this. And what's ironic is that in many ways this notion of public cloud as somehow being less secure is a mistake, because if you are trusting the protection of your content to an entity that's doing nothing but focusing on protecting access to that content, you're in far better shape than probably with your local IT, which is always just distracted by this, distracted by that, and on your own premises you may be much more vulnerable than you would be having your assets in the public cloud. That's a great irony that people are starting to wrap their head around, I think. So it's a big deal. The cloud is actually more secure in many instances.
And yet, certain companies have been hacked, haven't they? So
yes.
the major companies like Sony and Hollywood.
Exactly, and they probably would have benefited from being on Microsoft Azure. We went through a big analysis of all the different public cloud vendors that were out there, knowing that once Avid made a decision to go to the cloud, it was going to be bringing a lot of partners with us and a lot of customers and the biggest names in the business, and we couldn't afford to have that be questioned or in any way seen as being less than secure. And so that was one of the main criteria we used in selecting Microsoft for this.
But I've always thought, the guys who are writing the encryption code for security, they went to the same school as the hackers. So what's going to happen? Chris, you wanted to make a point.
Well, there's Sky Sports in the UK this coming weekend has a huge boxing event.
Okay.
And they have a product called Sky Box Office. And they want to give people the opportunity to buy a digital ticket to watch the event online on any kind of device. Because the content is so expensive, there's a lot of people who like to get it for free. So hacking the stream, copy protecting the content, somebody buying one ticket and then they put their camera up on the TV set and retransmit it off the back so all their friends can see it for free. It's very important that not happen, because it's a loss of revenue. So how that security encrypts the stream and allows you to watermark it so you can figure out exactly who's doing the retransmission and turn them off, which turns off everybody in the back, is an important part of protecting the value of the content.
But Chris, how are you going to do that if, some teenager is copying it for his mates? Who's going to see that he's done it?
Well, when you buy a ticket and you start to stream it, it carries a little ID that flashes every once in a while.
Yeah.
So if you put a camera in front of your TV and retransmit it, that little ID is going to end up on other sites, and you can track back who's actually doing the retransmission, and you can turn them off in the middle of the stream, which then takes everybody else out.
Okay.
It's called a watermark.
Okay, you have comments to add on that?
No, I mean, that was a very good example of where you need to combine cloud features with CDN features, because I don't know how you do it, but we have similar technologies, and we do this far down in the CDN on every individual stream. You need to do it that way, so you can't, because otherwise this doesn't scale and so on.
Yeah.
So this is a very good example of an application that if you have a proper set CDN combined with a good cloud solution, you enable all of this. And in the end, we have a solution that is actually much more secure than any traditional broadcasting. You could never do this in a traditional satellite or DTT transmission. So I think this is a very good example.
Yeah. Ted.
Yeah, there's two different types of security vulnerabilities. One is the data, one is the media. And as you see, not just in broadcast, other large companies have been hacked, so to speak. My oldest son is actually a hacker, and actually he's going to college now to study cybersecurity and hopefully work for the FBI or something to use his knowledge for good, not evil. But he actually shows me how easy it is to hack media, hack content, and BitTorrents and all these horrible things. And I'm a big fan of the security and protecting the assets of the industry, not just the data but the media, even more so on the media, because there's a lot of smart people solving the data integrity as a whole.
So, based on your experience, what advice would you give a customer that wants to launch OTT services?
Well, to start with is, we propose, since you use the cloud and you can use all these things, to really start small, on a small scale. That's really the benefit that you can really do. Start with one stream. You don't have to go through this big process of, we want to do all these channels and this kind of reach and all. Just start small.
Grow slowly.
It allows all of that to happen. And then monitor the end. I mean, that's what we specialize in Culigent. So we do a good job of, if you want to hit a global audience, we can actually launch monitoring points virtually in minutes, anywhere in the world. And that way you get that instantaneous feedback back. So you only have one chance to make a first impression. So start small, on a low scale, and once you got what you want, then you can scale it out from there. That's really, it takes advantage of all the cloud benefits.
Yeah, do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you want to pick the right partners. I think it's complicated, so I think the fewer vendors involved, the better. Vendors add complexity. So if you can find the right partners and just pick a few of them and kind of put all your eggs in one basket and watch the basket, I think is important.
I would possibly add on that two things. One, decide from the start what KPIs are most important. Is it quality or is it reach, as an example? Because this might impact what decisions you take in technology. And then also make decisions of technology to know scales without having to redesign the system, because you are planning to be successful, right? You don't want the success to be your biggest problem after a while. So you want a solution that you can scale up without redesigning it. So that's two other things.
Do we have the right skill set in the industry to deal with this? I saw you nodding there, Chris.
That's a very good question. I mean, I think that's part of the challenge. Depending on the company and their history. And they may have been in the broadcast world for a long time, and maybe they want to launch a new OTT service, and do you have the right people that understand that? So it is a challenge. I think the skill sets in broadcast and the skill sets in digital oftentimes are different.
Yeah.
And how do you make sure you have the right folks?
So is it easier to train an engineer to be in the OTT world or a software engineer?
I think it's just different.
Okay.
The difference with broadcast and the difference with digital's a one-on-one conversation. So the experience is totally different. It's very interactive. It's data rich, so you can personalize content and curate it differently. and it's a conversation. The broadcast world's always been kind of one to many.
Yeah.
And it's a one-way conversation. So because of those differences in how you would personalize the experience, it just brings a unique way of delivering content and telling a story. And it's just understanding those differences that allow the two worlds to kind of come together.
Are the colleges helping this, or are you having to participate within the colleges to help, or is it all, on the job training? Ted?
Yeah, it's moving too fast for
Yeah.
universities. I mean, they teach a lot of the basic skills. And I think a lot of the talent and the skills exist. However, they don't exist in one person. It's just too diverse, too complex to this point of, it's just too much. So again, the cloud is sharing of information. And that's what we try to do as well, is try to capture the information, automate kind of a root cause as much as possible, and make it exportable so you can get it to the right expert. So not everybody's a CDN expert and a video expert and right?
So I'll just say from my perspective, this is my 21st NAB, and in 1996 when I first came here, we were talking about the digital transformation, and it's the notion that somehow it's catching people with their pants around their ankles, I think is a bit of an absurd notion, and I think that the notion of the IT movement of broadcast has been around for 20-something years now, and that most organizations have figured out how to begin to retrain or change out, retire the old guard, bring in the new guard, and that there's a much higher IT IQ within most large media organizations today. And I think that the kids who are coming out of college, regardless of what they've been studying, are automatically more expert than anybody on this panel in terms of the behaviors of consumption and how they want to get it, where they want to get it, how they want to get it. So they've got a much higher IQ than any of us on that stuff, for sure.
So what can we expect to see at the show here at NAB that's new?
A lot of HDR discussion. So that's all around video quality. Last year was 4K. Now we're talking about 8K.
Right.
So I think video quality and how it gets produced, the workflows around delivering that kind of quality are a big part of this year's show.
And so it's the ever increasing resolution. So you're seeing more to more complete end-to-end workflows for 4K. You're seeing also a lot of video over IP innovation, and a lot of people start to confuse. Oh, you use video over IP to do 4K. Well,
and a lot of hardware going to software, which is what you see around the show floor is huge changes in companies that used to be here that
you don't
aren't
see all the racks anymore, do you, with all the lights flashing?
To my point about the IT IQ, they want common off-the-shelf hardware if at all possible.
Ted, what have you got that's new at the show with respect to OTT?
Well, with us, we actually, to the skills question, we actually have a managed service that we offer to help people out with that, because one, they may or may not have the skills, and even if they do, they may or may not have the time. So what we do is we provide a managed service where we can actually monitor, give them basically a health check every month. We've kind of get a look at it, understand things, maybe give them some corrective actions, say here's an area you might want to look at. And then if there is a problem, they kind of pay as you go for the problem. So if you need help troubleshooting the problem, you got a major off-air outage, then we already are familiar with your system. We already have experts. We can get to the root of the problem and help you out a lot faster.
Okay. Johan?
No, we have been seeing a lot about combining the cloud with the CDNs and moving functionalities from the cloud out onto the CDN. We talked about protection. That's one good example. We have other applications that you can move out in order to help to improve the latencies and so on in live transmissions and so on. And all of this is another good example of where companies like Edgeware, we need to combine telecom expertise with cloud and IT expertise with video expertise, because you need to combine the three of these. And that's when you understand how to utilize the technology in the best way for these applications who have quite unique requirements.
So do we need a lot more monitoring facility just to see how it's going? We're not looking at a piece of hardware to see whether the lights went out. This time we've got a whole
there are a lot of moving parts, and the quality of the service is an important thing to monitor, because you have to monitor the source where the content's coming from. You got to monitor the cloud data center that puts it in all the right video formats. You have to monitor the CDNs that it gets delivered to. You have to monitor the ISP that you connect to with your phone, and then you got to monitor the app itself on the phone in terms of its, ability to deliver quality. So there's a lot of pieces in there.
Okay. How do you see the uptake with customers? Reluctance or gung-ho to get going?
Shall I go?
Go for it.
Well, I have to say that we've been very pleased with the embrace of the cloud collaboration scenario I spoke about earlier, and judging by the response to our news that we're bringing our platform to the cloud and all the associated tools that are used for content creation, they're now ready. They are ready to go. And to the point about helping them along, this is not a forced march. Nobody has to do everything in a big rush. They can do in a very planful and programmatic manner. There's not like there isn't a long process here where you can select just the parts of the workflow that you want to migrate to the cloud, maybe put parts of it in the cloud in a hybrid environment, keeping your stuff on-prem, putting it in a private data center, or going fully into the public cloud. It's totally up to you. We feel we're particularly at a good advantage to help our customers make that journey because they're already on a platform that has already standardized the interoperability with over 600 third-party products, alliance partners, et cetera. And it's just a simple matter of getting that stuff tuned for being able to go to the cloud-based workflows, which is not as complicated as it may sound. So,
Univision, fifth largest broadcaster in the United States, been a broadcaster for a long time. They cater to 57 million Spanish speakers in the U.S. Launched Univision Now, which is a complete OTT service to offer entertainment, news, and sports directly over the top. Brand new business model for them. I think it's $7 a month. And you see these new OTT services coming up all over the place. Certainly as the world starts to unbundle and a la carte becomes more available and you get to pick and choose what you want to watch. It's a great example of traction in the OTT space.
Johan, you see an easy take-up with customers?
It's for sure because we have customers. We have one customer in Hong Kong. They started off with delivering an OTT service for the Olympic Games last summer, and that was so successful that now they are actually closing down their terrestrial broadcast and moving everything to OTT and so on. So we see a lot of interesting stuff happening.
Okay, well, guys, we've run out of time. So this has been very interesting. I've certainly learned a lot because this isn't really my field, and I hope the audience here has as well. I'm Janet West, and join me in a few minutes where we will be talking about what technology is really helping cinematographers. So if you're going to come back 5 minutes time, we'll see you. Thank you, gentlemen. Chris Wagner, Johan Boland, Ted Corte, and Alan Hoff. Been delighted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat. Today we have a very special guest, Bill Thompson with EditShare. How you doing?
Great. How do you do?
Doing great. So what does NAB Show mean to an organization like you?
Well, this is the place where all of our buyers come. We focus on the video post-production business, and so read half the badges coming through here, and a lot of people are here to shop for the next generation of production equipment.
So I see your scalable solution. That's probably for much larger organizations, right?
That's how it started out. Sure. And what I like to say is, it's one matter to build a system that's going to scale out as large as 5, 10, 15, or 20 petabytes. Really, the news from us this year at this show is that we've managed to scale it in so that a small team, a small company, or just someone starting out can start with something as small as a single node, which is quite affordable, which can be the basis of their entire workflow. And as they grow, our system grows with no forklift upgrades.
And from what I remember, your products, you have a software management system as well, right?
Yeah, you have a good memory, yeah. So we actually bundle that product, which is called Flow, and we also bundle an archive and backup product called Arc in the same product. So it really does become the heart of a workflow with a simple, low-cost purchase.
I mean, you're just sort of managing assets with it, right?
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, we've got a very world-class asset management platform that's widely accepted.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys are quite a popular platform to be working on in facilities. Talk about Xstream. What's that? That's the solution you were just mentioning?
It's Extreme EFS, and the EFS part of it means EditShare file system. That's a proprietary file system that we've written to replace our legacy file system. It's scalable, it's easy to manage, and it's fault tolerant more so than ever before.
All right, again, Bill Thompson of EditShare, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we certainly wish you great luck and great success at the 2017 NAB show.
Have a great show.
Hey, this is a cat named Mo, on-air personality from 1025 The Bone, Tampa, Florida, and you are watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Podcast studio, both radio or TV, podcasting, post-production, and those sort of things. Plus, not only that, we also can make copy stands that do attach to our structures. And one of our hottest items is also our low-profile mic arms, which have on-air tally lights with them. The latest thing we added in the last year was a two-way light tally system where the light is white if you're working on a router-based console system, and it means ready. And then when it becomes hot, or red, that means your mic is hot and on the air, and that's all driven by the consoles that would do that.
Okay, so basically there's some form of communication that happens, and it's a specific console then?
No, many broadcaster consoles have logic to do that.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So Yellowtech is a German company, is that right?
Yellowtech is a German company designed to really find solutions for studios, founded by one of the largest systems integrators in Europe, and they've decided to come in and start coming to the market many years ago, probably about 7 to 10 years ago. And then, of course, since the American market has expanded so much, 2 years ago I took over and created Yellowtech USA to support the customers and the dealers in the American market.
Well, so I was in the radio industry for quite some time in my younger adult life, and I gotta say, the stuff looks very sturdy. It is actually sexy at the same time.
You hit it on the nose.
And it's extremely functional.
Very functional. In fact, that is the number one design goal. Everything is functional, elegant, ease of use, smooth, and modern.
Okay, so let's talk about these. Are these a little different than those ones?
The mic arms are slightly different, to where we have, of course, 3 different sizes of mic arms. Of course, small. We offer them also with or without lights for the on-air tally aspect of it.
Very nice. I'm real curious. So these lights here that are in front of me, what are those for? It says intelligent signaling.
Intelligent signaling. Well, you know, how many times have we seen the old light bulb screwed into a ceramic thing in the studio to say your hotline is ringing? What we have here is a way to do anything from one light up to 5 different lights to signal maybe a different status of your radio station, or a phone ringing, or someone waiting at the front door, or a transmitter off the air, or an emergency alert system going off. And so it is a way to, silently signal to an operator what they may need to know on a moment's notice.
All right. So I see now you have the IXM recording microphones.
The IXM recording microphone is a wonderful microphone, which is a recording microphone where it's, as you see, it's very small, compact, portable. Built-in lithium-ion battery, records to an SD card. The key feature that makes it absolutely stand out is that we have our own design of leveling involved with it for the simplicity of the user. If you notice, there's no, VU meter on it or anything like that. It automatically levels to give you that perfect sound every time you record. I call it a microphone that's designed to get the sound. You hit record, you hit stop, you have that audio piece from a news situation, podcast situation, sports, especially in a loud marketplace like a sports arena or something like that. That leveler will make sure your voice pops through.
All right, so we have about a minute. We're getting a signal from the control room, about a minute left or so. So let's talk about this audio. It's an audio console, or it's an IntelliMix, it's called?
IntelliMix. It is one thing we want to do is we want to focus on being a small mixer company. We are offering support for Dante and Livewire Plus as we're working with the folks at Telos and Axia to be part of their family. It is a 4-channel mixer that can bring up multiple sources, where I can go through and I can actually switch inputs right on the fly and go through and make sure I can make something happen. We also offer this G-Touch fader. It's a non-mechanical fader. It will last a long time, and plus has a real nice, sexy feel to it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing that you can actually That is crazy. You know, it's amazing that the digital world nowadays, everything is so crazy. So, all right, so broadcasting live from the North Hall at the Yellow Tech booth, Jeff Williams, thank you so much. You guys have some really innovative technology. It is very functional. It's great. So, thank you so much. We'll have a great rest of your show.
I'm going to have an awesome show and hope to see you next year.
All right, back to the studio.